His stairs shimmered in the darkness of space as the Odyssey, a human exploration vessel, drifted silently through a distant sector. The crew had been scanning lifeless planets for weeks, finding only dust and broken stones. Spirits were low, and most of the explorers expected this mission to end like the others, quietly, without discovery. But Commander Elise Ward believed that the galaxy always hid surprises. Humanity was young compared to other spacefaring races, yet they had a habit of noticing things others ignored. When the Odyssey approached a gray world orbiting a dying sun, the scanners detected faint energy readings. At first, the readings looked like static too weak to matter. But Elise gave the order to investigate. "We came here to search," she reminded her crew. "Even a whisper from the past can tell us something important." The landing party descended onto the planet's surface. The landscape was bleak. Cracked deserts stretched in every direction, and ruins of stone towers leaned like the bones of a forgotten giant. The silence was heavy, broken only by the wind that carried dust across abandoned streets. Most of the crew thought the place was nothing but rubble. Yet as they entered the ruins, they saw carvings on the walls, symbols worn by centuries but still carrying a strange elegance. Dr. Chen, the ship's archaeologist, studied the marks with excitement. "These are not natural," he said, brushing off the dust. "This was once a city. Someone lived here, someone important." Deeper inside the ruins, they found sealed doors, still humming with faint power. When the crew forced them open, they discovered tunnels leading underground. Lights flickered weakly as though the systems had been waiting for someone to return. And then, to their astonishment, they found them, the survivors. A group of tall, slender beings stood in the shadows of the underground hall. Their skin shimmered faintly, pale like moonlight, and their large eyes glowed with quiet sadness. They were not aggressive. In fact, they seemed startled, even afraid. Elise slowly lowered her weapon and raised her hand in peace. "We're not here to harm you," she said softly. "We're explorers. We found your world." One of the beings stepped forward. His voice was melodic, though weak, as if unused for a long time. "We are Valari. Once, long ago, we lived under the stars. But now no one remembers us. No one comes here. Until you." The crew exchanged stunned looks. The Valari were not recorded in human databases, and none of the major galactic powers had ever spoken of them. It was as though history had erased them completely. The Valari guided the humans deeper into their underground shelter. Faint lights glowed along the walls, powered by ancient systems that somehow still functioned. They passed through halls filled with cracked statues and broken machines, echoes of a once great civilization. The Valari moved slowly, their movements graceful but heavy with sorrow. Commander Elise noticed how their eyes lingered on the humans with both hope and fear. It was as though they had been waiting centuries for someone to notice them again, yet they feared disappointment. In a large chamber, the Valari leader, who introduced himself as Seran, explained their story. "We were once builders of wonders. Our cities reached the skies, our ships crossed the stars. But the great empires of the galaxy feared us. They united against us. They broke our fleets and scattered our people. For centuries we have hidden here, forgotten by all." The chamber grew quiet. The humans listened carefully. Unlike other empires, they did not laugh at weakness or dismiss the fallen. Elise leaned forward. "You are not forgotten now. Humanity has found you." For the first time, a faint light returned to Seran's eyes. Still, he shook his head. "We are too few. The others will not help us. They say the Valari are shadows, not allies. No one will take our side." Elise stood tall, her voice steady. "Perhaps no one else will. But humanity, we see value in those who others ignore. We know what it means to be underestimated, and we do not turn away from those who still fight to survive." The Valari looked at one another in silence. Hope flickered in their expressions, fragile but alive. That night, as the humans returned to their ship, the crew felt something shift. They had not just found ruins. They had found a people on the edge of vanishing. Other species might dismiss the Valari as relics, but to humanity, they were something more. A mirror of what could happen to any race left without allies. From orbit, Elise gazed down at the dying world. She whispered to herself, "Forgotten by the galaxy, but not by us." And so, in the silence of a fading star system, a bond began to form. Small, fragile, but filled with the promise of something greater. Humanity had extended a hand where no one else had, and the Valari had taken it. Neither species knew it yet, but this meeting would shake the galaxy in the years to come. The days after the first meeting grew tense. Humanity's arrival on the Valari world did not stay a secret for long. Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The humans had found something that others had left behind. At first, most empires laughed. The Valari? They are ghosts, they said. Nothing but whispers of failure. But the laughter turned to unease when reports revealed that humans were not leaving. The Odyssey had anchored itself in orbit, and smaller supply ships had begun to arrive. Humanity was not just curious. They were staying. Commander Elise Ward stood in the command center of the Valari underground city, speaking with Saran. Around them, the faint hum of ancient machines echoed like heartbeats in the stone. They will come, Elise said firmly. The other empires will not like this. They see the Valari as a relic, something to be buried. But now they know you are still alive and that humanity stands beside you. Saran lowered his gaze. His long fingers traced the cracks on the old stone table between them. We have seen this before. When others come, it brings only destruction. We are too weak to resist. Elise placed her hand on the table close to his. Not anymore. You are not alone this time. That promise was tested sooner than anyone expected. 3 days later, warning sirens rang through the halls. Human scouts in orbit reported approaching ships, raiders from a nearby empire, the Karak Dominion. They were not a grand fleet, but their ships were armed and dangerous, eager to claim Valari land and technology. The Karak cared nothing for history or survival. They wanted resources, and the Valari were easy prey. On the bridge of the Odyssey, the crew rushed to stations. 4 ships incoming, the tactical officer reported. Weapons hot, Elise's jaw tightened. We hold the line. No one touches this world. The Valari gathered in their chambers, fear in their eyes. They had no weapons left, no fleets to protect them. For centuries, they had only known retreat. But now, as they listened to the distant rumble of engines above, they saw something new. Human ships standing guard for them. The battle began in the silence of space. The Karak ships opened fire first, red streaks of plasma flashing across the black. The Odyssey and her escorts answered with bright bursts of energy, their shields flaring as the first hit struck. The clash lit up the dying sun, painting the Valari world in flashes of light. Inside the underground city, the Valari watched through old projection screens that the humans had reactivated. They had never seen anyone fight for them before. Saran's hands trembled as he whispered, They defend us. The battle was fierce. The Odyssey was larger than the Karak raiders, but she was outnumbered. Hull plating cracked, alarms blared, and smoke filled parts of the ship. Yet the humans did not retreat. They fought with stubborn courage, pressing forward even when the odds seemed against them. Then, at a critical moment, Dr. Chen discovered something in the Valari archives. Hidden star maps and defense codes revealed the presence of old satellites in orbit. Forgotten weapons left dormant for centuries. With human assistance, the Valari transmitted commands to reawaken them. Slowly, one by one, the satellites powered up. Beams of pale light burst from them, striking the Karak ships with precision. The raiders panicked, not expecting resistance from a world they thought dead. Together, the humans and Valari turned the tide. Within an hour, the enemy ships retreated, limping into the void. Cheers filled the Odyssey's bridge. The Valari, watching from below, stood in stunned silence. For the first time in centuries, their world had not fallen to attackers. For the first time, someone had stood beside them and won. When Elise returned to the Valari chamber, Saran stepped forward. His voice shook with emotion. You have done what we could not. You faced them without fear. And because of you, we are still here. Elise shook her head. We did it together. Without your archives, we could not have turned the battle. You are not weak, Saran. You only needed someone to remind you of your strength. The Valari looked at each other and something stirred within them. It was not yet full confidence, but it was the beginning of pride. They were no longer only survivors hiding in the dark. They had fought back and they had tasted victory. That night, the humans and Valari shared a meal again. This time, the atmosphere that's different. The Valari voices carried more energy. Their eyes shone brighter and their steps seemed lighter. One young Valari asked Elise timidly, Why do you help us? Others say we are worthless. They call us shadows. Why does humanity care? Elise smiled gently. Because we know what it feels like to be underestimated. Humanity was once ignored too, but we proved ourselves and we believe you can too. No race deserves to vanish if there is still hope. Saran rose, his tall form casting a long shadow on the wall. His voice was clear and strong. Then let this be the beginning. If the galaxy wishes to erase us, let them see instead that the Valari still live, and that we have allies. The humans raised their cups in agreement. For the first time, Valari and humanity shared not just food but purpose. Outside in the silence of space, the broken satellites still glowed faintly. Guardians reborn. The galaxy would soon learn what had happened here. And when they did, everything would change. The calm after the battle lasted only a few days. Humanity and the Valari worked together, repairing damage and strengthening defenses. Yet beneath the surface, something more powerful awaited discovery. Ancient Valari texts hinted at a network of hidden systems, long dormant, built to protect the civilization in its greatest days. Elise, Ward, and Saran decided it was time to explore these secrets. Many of these machines have not been touched for centuries, Saran warned. They were designed to defend entire worlds. But time has fated them. Only with care and skill can they awaken. Dr. Chen and the Valari engineers began scanning the underground tunnels for access points. Dust rose in clouds as they moved massive panels and activated old consoles. When a final doorway slid open, the room revealed a vast chamber filled with sleek ships and tall crystalline towers. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Streamlined, elegant, and covered in glowing runes. They're intact, Dr. Chen breathed. Completely intact. Saran stepped forward, tracing the smooth surface of a ship. These are not just ships. They carry the essence of our culture, our knowledge, and our defense. But we cannot fly them yet. Their power sources are dormant, their guidance systems silent. Elise looked at him steadily. Then we will wake them together. Humanity knows something about machines, and you know the secrets of these systems. Together we can make them work. The Valari nodded slowly, hope building in their hearts. For centuries they had lived in fear, believing their strength had vanished forever. Now, guided by humans who refused to give up on them, they began to believe again. Days turned into nights as teams worked tirelessly. Humans learned Valari techniques for restoring energy cores, while Valari studied human tactics for efficiency and resilience. The underground chamber became alive with light, sound, and motion. Crystals pulsed with energy, machines hummed, and slowly the ship's engines sparked to life. Finally, it was ready. The first Valari ship rose from its resting place, engines glowing as it hovered above the ground. The room erupted in cheers. Saran's voice shook as he spoke. It has been centuries, but our strength returns. Elise smiled, feeling the weight of history pressing down, yet lighter now. And it will continue to grow, as long as we stand together. News of the revived ship spread quickly. Scout reports indicated that hostile empires, still watching, were growing uneasy. The galaxy had assumed the Valari were weak, a forgotten race. Now human and Valari cooperation had turned the tables. The Valari trained rapidly with their new allies. Humans adapted to Valari technology, learning its speed, precision, and hidden capabilities. Joint drills tested defense strategies, combining the tactical ingenuity of humans with the centuries-old wisdom of the Valari. Slowly, fear was replaced with confidence. Where the Valari once doubted their own worth, they now felt the spark of pride. Then came the first real test. A fleet from the Dreth Coalition, a powerful empire that had ignored the Valari for decades, approached the system. They came not as diplomats but as conquerors, believing that the weak Valari could easily be subdued. Elise and Saran stood together on the bridge of the newly awakened Valari command ship. Below, human ships formed lines beside Valari vessels. Lights glinted on crystal towers and energy pulses indicated readiness. They think we are weak, Saran said quietly. They do not know we are no longer alone. Elise nodded. They will learn. The Dreth fleet opened fire first, red streaks cutting through the void. But the Valari defense systems, powered and precise, responded instantly. Ships glided with agility humans could hardly match, intercepting attacks and protecting the planet below. Human pilots maneuvered with courage, anticipating enemy moves and using Valari technology in ways even the Valari had forgotten. In the heat of the battle, Saran realized something incredible. The Valari's ancient systems were not just weapons, they were intelligent allies. Defense grids reacted to attacks automatically. redistributing power and reinforcing weak points. It was a perfect combination of old and new, wisdom and ingenuity. The Dreth fleet faltered under the unexpected resistance. Their attacks became disorganized as the Valari and human forces struck back with precision. For the first time in centuries, the Valari saw the galaxy's strongest powers hesitate before them. Pride, long buried, bloomed within their hearts. When the Dreth ships finally retreated, the Valari cheered, their voices echoing through the underground halls and above the planet's surface. They had defended their home, not alone but with humanity at their side. That evening, Saran addressed the people in a grand chamber, his voice full of emotion. "We were told we were shadows, forgotten and weak. But tonight we proved the galaxy wrong. With our new allies with humanity, we are not just survivors. We are Valari, strong, proud, and remembered once more." Elise stood beside him, smiling. "The galaxy will notice now, and when it does, we will show them what happens when humanity and Valari stand together." In the quiet moments after the celebrations, the Valari walked through the halls of their revived city, touching ships and crystals as if greeting old friends. They no longer feared the future. They had learned that strength could be regained, and allies could come from the most unexpected places. The galaxy outside might still underestimate them, but inside the underground chambers, hope and pride burned brighter than any weapon. Humanity and the Valari had not just survived, they had begun to rise, and no empire, no matter how powerful, could ignore that rising for long. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Word had spread that the Valari were no longer the weak, forgotten race they had once believed them to be. And standing with them were humans, young and determined, willing to risk everything for the sake of those others had abandoned. Commander Elise Ward stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, gazing at the fleet assembled in orbit above the Valari homeworld. Valari ships, gleaming with restored energy, floated alongside human cruisers. The two races had trained together for weeks, learning to anticipate each other's movements, their strategies becoming one. Saran approached, his tall frame casting a shadow across the control panel. "They will not leave us alone this time," he said. His voice was calm but serious. "The remaining empires will come with everything they have. They fear what we can become," Elise nodded. "Then we meet them together. No fear, no retreat. We fight for what is ours and for the future of your people." Soon, the enemy fleet appeared on the scanners. The combined forces of the Carrick Dominion and the Dreth Coalition, along with smaller mercenary groups. Hundreds of ships armed to strike. Their leaders assumed that the Valari would crumble under pressure, that humans would quickly retreat. They were wrong. The first salvo came without warning. Beams of energy streaked across space toward the planet. The Valari defense systems flared to life. Ancient satellites, now fully restored, intercepted missiles and beams with precision. Ships moved like living beings, evading attacks, responding instantly to threats. Humans piloted alongside Valari crews, their instincts and ingenuity complementing the Valari's experience and technology. Saran's voice echoed over the comms. "Remember what we learned. Trust in each other." The battle was fierce. Red and blue lights danced across the black void as ships collided in sudden bursts of energy. Explosions shook the Valari command chamber, though the underground city remained secure. Every time the enemy seemed to gain ground, Valari and human forces countered with clever maneuvers and coordinated strikes. From the Odyssey, Elise observed a key moment. A Dreth battleship advanced toward the planet's surface, aiming for the heart of the Valari city. Without hesitation, a squadron of Valari ships, guided by human pilots, surged forward. They used the ancient systems to create barriers of energy, protecting the city below while striking the enemy with pinpoint accuracy. In the chaos, Saran realized something he had long thought impossible. "We are not just defending ourselves," he said. "We are shaping the future. Humanity has shown us that strength is more than numbers. It is courage, unity, and hope." Hours passed, and slowly the enemy forces began to falter. Their attacks became disorganized as the Valari and human alliance pressed forward. Strategic strikes targeted supply lines, cutting off reinforcements. For every ship, the enemies destroyed, the Allied forces gained confidence, moving as one with purpose and precision. Finally, the remaining Dreth and Carrick ships signaled retreat. They had underestimated the bond between humans and Valari, the combination of ancient wisdom and new courage. The galaxy had witnessed a miracle. A forgotten race, believed to be powerless, had stood tall, backed by humanity, and survived against impossible odds. When the battle ended, celebrations erupted in the Valari underground city. Humans and Valari gathered together, cheering, hugging, and sharing stories of bravery. The Valari had regained not only their homeworld, but their pride, and humans had proven that allies could come from the most unexpected places. Saran stood before his people, his voice filled with emotion. We were told we were shadows, unworthy and weak, but today we have shown the galaxy the truth. We are Valari, we are alive, we are strong, and we have friends who will fight beside us. Elise stepped forward, her hand resting on Saran's shoulder. The galaxy may still doubt you, but now it knows that even the forgotten can rise again. Humanity believes in second chances, and together, we will make sure no one ever forgets the Valari again. As night fell over the Valari world, the underground city glowed with light. Ships rested in their docks, and the once silent streets now echoed with laughter and conversation. The Valari had rediscovered their strength, but more importantly, they had rediscovered hope. For the first time in centuries, the Valari looked to the stars not with fear, but with ambition. With humanity by their side, they would explore the galaxy anew, rebuild their influence, and reclaim their place among the stars. In the quiet moments, Elise walked through the city, observing the Valari children playing and the elders sharing stories of old victories. She smiled to herself. The galaxy had seen the rise of something remarkable, a forgotten race no longer alone, and a human spirit that refused to turn away from those who needed help. And in that union, a new legend began, one of courage, unity, and hope that no empire could ever erase. The Valari were no longer forgotten. Humanity had taken their side, and together they had changed the course of history. The stars, once silent witnesses to the Valari's fall, now shone brightly above them, as if celebrating the dawn of a new era. The next morning, the Odyssey's crew returned to the underground halls of the Valari. Commander Elise Ward led the way, her steps steady, though she could feel the weight of history pressing down around them. The Valari city beneath the surface seemed endless, with corridors stretching into the dark and ancient machines humming faintly as if dreaming of better times. Saran, the Valari leader, walked beside Elise. His voice carried a quiet echo as he spoke. We were not always like this. Once, our people filled hundreds of worlds. Our ships flew faster than light. Our knowledge was vast, and many races looked to us for guidance. But pride can be dangerous. The stronger powers feared what we could become. They joined hands, and together they struck us down. The humans listened closely. Dr. Chen recorded every word, his face pale with shock. You mean, he asked, softly, the great empires united against you? All of them? Yes, Saran said with sadness. We had no true allies. When the storm came, we stood alone. And alone, even a mighty tree falls. The Valari led the humans to an archive chamber where tall crystal towers still glowed faintly with data. Elise placed her hand on one, and a projection lit the room. Images of gleaming cities, starships with elegant curves, and vast fleets filled the air. The Valari had been beautiful in their strength, a race of artists and scientists, builders and explorers. But then the light shifted. The images showed fire raining from the skies, ships breaking apart, cities collapsing. The voices of the Valari became cries of fear. The humans stood silently. They had seen wars on Earth, but nothing on this scale. Saran's eyes dimmed as he ended the projection. Now you see. This is why no one comes here. To the galaxy, we are already dead. Our name is erased from their records. Our enemies wanted not only our defeat, but our memory forgotten. For a moment, Elise said nothing. She was not a politician, not a diplomat. She was a soldier and an explorer. But she felt the truth of Saran's words. Humanity was young in the galactic stage, but she knew well that the older races looked down on them too. You are not forgotten, she said firmly. Your story lives as long as someone listens. And we are listening. Saran looked at her with disbelief. as if he had not heard such words in centuries. Later that day, the crew shared a meal with the Valari. The food was strange but nourishing, grown from underground farms that still survived with little light. The Valari ate slowly, their movements graceful, while the humans asked questions about their traditions. To everyone's surprise, the Valari began to answer. They spoke of art that once filled their skies with color, of music that traveled on light beams, of philosophy that dreamed of unity among the stars. It was a glimpse into a culture not only powerful, but deeply thoughtful. The humans were fascinated. In return, they shared stories of Earth, of oceans, forests, and mountains. The Valari listened in wonder, as though hearing tales of a paradise. But not all moments were peaceful. On the Odyssey's bridge, communication reports began to arrive. Other empires had noticed human activity in this forgotten sector. The names of the Valari were whispered with mockery across alien channels. "The shadows still crawl?" one message read. "Let the humans waste their time. They do not know the danger of holding broken things." Elise read the reports with a heavy heart. She knew what this meant. If humanity stood by the Valari, they would draw the attention of powers far stronger than themselves. And yet, when she looked at Saran and his people, she felt a sense of duty. Humanity had always believed in giving others a chance because they themselves had been given none when they first reached the stars. That night, as the crew prepared for rest, Elise walked through the Valari halls alone. She paused by a cracked mural showing the Valari reaching for the stars. The paint was faded, but the meaning was clear: hope, ambition, and unity. She thought of Earth's own struggles, how humanity had once been divided, but had come together to step into space. Perhaps, she thought, the Valari needed the same spark again. The next morning, Elise gathered both humans and Valari in the grand chamber. Her voice was calm but strong. "You say the galaxy has forgotten you," she said, "but humanity does not forget. We believe in second chances. You have knowledge, history, and spirit worth saving. If others mock you, let them. We will stand beside you." The Valari were silent, their eyes wide. Finally, Saran stepped forward. His voice trembled, but hope filled it at last. "Perhaps the stars are not as cold as we believed. Perhaps we are not alone anymore." The bond between humanity and the Valari deepened that day. It was still fragile, like a flame in the wind. But for the first time in centuries, the Valari felt something stir within them, something they thought lost forever. It was hope.